Hello and welcome back to another grey and miserable day in the woods. Weather's not getting any kinder to us at the moment, but that's not a problem because we're not really spending any time outside today. We're actually working in the house, and hopefully now that the plaster has dried, we can actually build up our stud work. Honestly, I forget how nice it is in here with this new ceiling put in. Hopefully, that spot right there is where I'm going to put a spotlight. I don't think it is going to be because it needs to be like in the center. So yeah, I'm going to have to patch that up myself, which probably won't look as neat and tidy as the rest of the room. But the whole idea today, or at least I'm going to attempt to, we'll see how we get on. I'm going to be building a stud wall from that blue there, well, basically here, all the way across to cover this wall. I am going to need some CLS here specifically. That's going to be a structural wall to support like the shower that I'm be fitting to that. But this bit onwards just needs to be a stud wall so I can put my toilet into and my cistern built into it. I'm also going to try and consider and think about as many storage ideas as possible, because if I just build a big blank wall, it's not going to be very useful. But the more shelves and stuff I build, the more work it's gonna be to do that. But like on the end here, for example, when the wall comes up to here, there's no reason why I can't have like lots of pocket shelves that lead up that you can put towels in, or other like, you know, bathroom stuff that needs a shelf to go into. Same with like the toilet. With the toilets in, there's no reason, this is going to be a big void space here, so I could probably put stuff there. Whether it's just like a rail to hang things, like towels, etc., or just shelving built into it. Now, I obviously want this wall to be as shallow as possible, that way I'm not losing loads of space in this bathroom. So that the shelves themselves aren't going to be super deep, but as we build this up, I'm going to try and think on the spot on how I'm going to lay this out, because I have not done any prior like designs or like ideas as to how I'm going to do this. I just know that I need to put the stud work in so I can get the cistern and the toilet in place, as well as getting the pipework ready for the bath. A lot of people have wondered what I'm going to be doing about this window, and I came up with a rather random idea of, instead of boxing it in and just completely getting rid of it, I'm going to cover over it with like MDF, so it's like a paintable, easy paintable surface, and then change the glass in there. And then on the other side, when you're in the like the stairwell, like the landing, etc., we're gonna make some like custom little characters and figures and build like a little house in there, essentially like a little doll's house in the window. So the window kind of stays there, but it becomes like a feature of the house, because this has been here for I don't even know how long. Its purpose is actually let light from there through there, so there's lighting in the hallway, stairwell, whatever you want to call it. I need to just give it a name, but it's to allow light in. Obviously, when I build this wall up, that light's going to disappear. So I'm going to put some like LEDs in there, not to replicate the lighting from this room, just so it stays illuminated. And then when it comes to the actual lighting in here, I'll probably add like a much bigger light that drops from the center point there down the middle of the stairwell, so it's properly lit up in here, so it doesn't feel so dark as it does now. For whatever reason, when I rewired the lights, the hallway light now doesn't, stairwell light again, need to think of a name. The stairwell light doesn't work anymore, so I need to think about what that is. To be fair, when I ran the new cables up to the attic, I mainly focused on just getting the new light in here, and the new wiring into the attic. Obviously, there's no loft hatch anymore, so I can't get in there. And even though I said I was gonna wait before cutting this out, I may very well just cut the hole so I can get up there and do lighting. Because like here, for example, already you can see there's a new light in this one. So realistically, there's only 2 more cables to run in the attic, one for the stairwell and the other one in here for Benjamin's room. But I need to move some light switches around. I think this one, yeah, this one in Benjamin's room needs to be moved. Currently it's there, it needs to go on the other side of the door, because when I put new doors in and do the door frames and stuff, the door will actually swing the other way. It was the same in the bungalow. I don't like how the doors, I don't know why they did it like this. Maybe it's just the old way they did houses, but the doors swung in and it kind of cuts off the room. Whereas when you open a door, you want to open it into the room. It's the same with every room. This is a perfect example where the door swings into the room. So when you open a door, you can't see into the room. There might be a reason for that. I don't know why. But in my mind, I want the door to swing this way against the wall. So when you open it up, you instantly got the whole room. Just little things like that I want to do. But before we can build up the stud work, I do actually have some CLS. However, I've been advised that I need to get some like stronger CLS for the shower. And treated timber. I don't think the fact that it's treated is going to make a difference, because it's going to be stud work, then it's going to be cement board, and then it's going to be paneling on top. So the likely chances of water getting through and causing any damage to the CLS is highly unlikely. So I don't know if I'll bother getting treated timber, but I do need at least 1, 2, 3 lengths that like 3 meters high, because the ceiling is like 2.8 in here. 3 lengths of 3 meter 89 mil CLS. Which is just stronger, more structural, and then probably an extra one just to do the bottoms and the noggins and so on for the pipework to run through. Hopefully, by the end of the day, we'll have a stud wall built up here, and I can dummy up the toilet and the bath and get things into place and see how it's going to feel. I imagine it's going to feel a lot smaller in here. That being said, I can't really start right now because it's too early and the shop isn't actually open for me to go get the wood. So we're going to have to wait. I think Jess is actually making me a sausage sandwich, so I'm going to enjoy that before we head over to Wickes. Oh yes, beautiful. Well, as it turns out, the treated C16 is cheaper than the non-treated stuff. It's £8.65 for 2x4 by 10 and £8.75 for 2x4 by 10. I think the treated stuff is actually ever so slightly bigger. It's 45 by 95, which isn't an issue, it's just more structural. So I think we're going to pick some of that up. Plenty of wood now acquired. Before we start fitting this to the wall, I'm actually going to dummy up the bath first. I've been in here for about 10 minutes now, measuring things up and trying to get a rough idea of where things will land. But I think just for I don't know what the term is, like belts and braces, just to make sure, be absolutely positive, I'm going to stick the legs on the bath and put it in place, because I'm now questioning if it's going to be like too high for the windowsill or too low for my waste pipe, and if either, I need to obviously make adjustments accordingly. I think I can get away with it being at the same height as the windowsill. I have a little bit of play, I can raise it up a little bit. But I'm a little concerned because of the windowsill that my waste pipe is too high, and before I build and box all this in, it'll be easier for me to cut the pipe down and make it a little lower now than later. So let's do that first. Right, I've got my bath laid out on a sheet, got a manual, which is very nice. I've done this before if you've been around for a while. This one actually comes with pre-marked bottom, so I can just place these over the marks, screw them straight in, and we should be golden. Oddly enough, this is a cheaper bath than my last one, but it's much better. Legs all screwed in and bolted in. How weird does that look? Well, it's not weird, this is what it's meant to be like, but it's odd seeing a bath in place. It's not perfectly level, but it's, you know, as I say, dummying up for now. It sits a little further away from the window, which is fine, as I essentially have two options. I can either butt that up right to the window and have a really big wall here, or I can make as small a wall here as possible and have more floor space and then just box that end in. And I think I'm going with make the stud wall as small as humanly possible. Also, after doing a bit of measuring around, the waste pipe is fine as well, so I'm not too worried about that anymore. It might be better to have a little bit more of a fall than it does currently, but it should be okay. I take that back. Where you see 6 there, the top of the tape measure, is bang in the middle of this waste pipe. So by the time I put my bath trap on, I think it's at the same height as the waste pipe that goes in. So there really isn't any fall on it. So as the bath can't go any higher than it is currently without it looking well weird on the window, what I'm thinking is I just shave off a bit of the soil pipe and drop it down, which is perfectly easy to do. I just need to take it off and saw it off. To be perfectly honest, it's probably better the waste like on the soil stack or the boss fitting is lower than all of my outlets anyway, and if it's at floor level, it's not going to hurt it. It's only going to make the flow of everything better. So I might as well do that before, as I said, before I stick up this stud wall. It is much better for me to do this now than have a big wall in the way and trying to figure out and jimmy it later on. So let me fix that and then we can start building up the wall. Much better. I'm currently writing down or marking down on the floor where everything comes up to. So the end of the bath is coming up to this mark here because it's after I add my batten and board on here, the bath won't actually start until there. So all the way across to here, middle point there. This is important because I'm going to add 3 uprights for where the shower wall is going to be. And then a batten across the middle for my pipework to fix through. So I need to know exactly where the middle is of where the bath is going to end up. So first things first, we need a timber that goes from there to here. But as you can see, my pipework is in the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out where it is, notch this out. As it is purely just a base plate, doesn't matter too much. To be honest, it probably would have been easier just to cut 2 pieces of wood, but I enjoy using a chisel, so there is that. Right, with that in, I've got my base plate. I need to make sure this is square. Otherwise, my wall is going to be all on the jack. I don't necessarily know there's an easy way to do this, but I'm basically going to measure from that wall there to there, and then from there to there using my laser measure. And if they match up at both ends, then I know it's square, at least to this. With that plate now bolted to the ground, I need another one, the same length, that's going to go on the ceiling. What I can then do is plonk it on top of my other one. I place it down like that, make sure it's flush at this end. Then I can take my laser measure, and if I stack those on top of each other and measure from here to the ceiling, all the way up there, it tells me that the next piece of wood that's going to go against this wall is 2.612. Rather than trying to get that plate pinned to the ceiling as it is now, I can use it obviously to know what the distance is between, and then pin my wall plate up and have it all plumb, which means perfectly upright, and then off that I can slot the other one up above it. Job's good. In theory, I should be able to put this on top of that board and it should go in snug, which it does. Simple maths. Right, as I'm obviously doing this by myself, trying to hold this level perfectly and upright and not moving around and stuff whilst I drill through it is going to be quite challenging. So what I've done is just pinned it at the bottom with a screw, which I can take out later, but I mean it's probably going to stay there anyway. Then to tie to the wall, I'm going to be using concrete screws. So I'm going to hold the level and make sure this is level, which it is there. Use my SDS drill and fire drill straight through. Then use some concrete screws. And that should be perfectly plumb, which it is. Nice. The wall plumb. Oh, it is. Ish. Might need to use some packers on it to bring it back out. All right. We've got one screw in, it ain't going nowhere. So let's continue the process, bang a couple more in, and we'll be good. It is starting to come together. Base plate, wall plate, ceiling plate, all screwed in. Thankfully, the plasterers actually left marks on the ceilings where the joists are running in the attic, which is very nice. So screwed that in perfectly fine. I now need 2 more uprights, one for the center and one for the end. And I've just got the measurements for those. So I'm gonna cut those out, slot them in, and we've basically got a stud wall done. Okay, the basic frame, or for at least the front part of it, is done. And just to clarify why I've got like this in the center here, is because my mixer is going to go like that, so I can run a pipe on either side of this center, and I know that that is the middle of my shower / bath. What I'm going to do is when I decide the height that I want my mixer tap to be at, I'm going to put some noggins in here and drill a hole straight through for my pipes to feed through and straight into my tap. it'll make it much easier later on when I come to fit the panels and all that kind of jazz, as the pipework will already be there. For a little extra rigidity on this, because it's currently only supported by that wall, the floor and the ceiling, is I'm going to add some noggins here, so it can't move back and forth. So if you lent on it, it's not going to go into the wall. I mean, it's fairly sturdy as it is, but just to make sure, I'll add a couple of noggins off the back to this back wall. As this is already a stud wall, what I've done is I've gone to the bottom where I can see the studs and ran my laser level all the way up the wall so I know where to find the studs. And then I'm adding battens at the back that run across, so I've got something to fix to. As where my new stud is, it's nowhere remotely close to another stud, so I need something to fix to. That is absolutely rock solid. Won't have any fears about that. The last thing I need to do to finish this wall off is obviously add in my noggins here where my pipework's going to go. So what I'm going to do is essentially, if I'm stood here, I kind of want the handle to be here, so I turn the taps on and off. But my bath is actually 160 mil off the floor based on that rough measurement. Now it doesn't have to be perfect because it's obviously just personal preference. But what I'm going to do is, I'm quite happy with the taps being here-ish. That's perfectly fine to me. And then off that marker, I'll actually go up 160 mil. I'll just put my pen away and I need it. Where have I just put that? I've literally just put it away. Right. I'm going to go 160 mil off that to here. And I know that my shower tap is going to go roughly here, because obviously this is where I want it now. When I'm up 160 mil off the ground, it should be here. So I'm going to get two pieces of timber and put them there, ready for the holes to go in. I'm not going to do the holes right now. I'm going to leave that a little bit later, because I'm not going to do any plumb work today. I'm purely just working on the wall, but we'll get these noggins in so it's ready to go. If you are curious as to how I'm cutting these boards, I haven't obviously shown any of that because it's just repeatedly cutting things. What I'm doing is I'm taking my laser measure, getting the measurements. So this one is 291 mil and 311 mil. Transferring my mark onto timber in here. Then I'm being incredibly lazy because my chop saw is downstairs. And I'm using my circular saw up here. And I'm using my speed square to ensure I'm getting square cuts. Don't want any janky cuts because I'm useless with a circular saw. Job done. Noggins all fitted and I've changed my mind. I've marked up where my mixer tap is going to go. I have 150 mil centers, so I'm going to drill some holes through here. And then this wall is just done. I don't have to worry about it again. One thing I do need to do is obviously run the rest of the plumb work. So I need to bring my hot and cold feeds up and out of these two holes. On top of that, I also need to bring my soil stack up as well, because it needs to come up to around here-ish with a Durgo valve on top, and basically that gets rid of all the smells. Right now, it's very smelly, which is why that piece of plasterboard is on there. But yeah, I'm going to bore some holes through this noggin here, so it's just ready to go, and then I can come back and do the plumbing another day. Even though I've got 15 mil pipes coming out of here, it's asked for 22 mil holes, so we'll stick that on there, right in the middle. Try and keep our drill as level as possible when we do this. And we have it, one hole ready for pipe work. Time for hole number 2. Sweet. Right, they're ready for receiving pipes. This wall I'm pretty happy with now. I could, if I really wanted to, I could add some more noggins at the top, but honestly, this wall is genuinely solid. It's really not moving anywhere. The fact I've used 2 before is probably one of the reasons why it's not going anywhere. So if I really wanted to belt some braces, it could add some more, but I think it's fine. Anyways, with the shower wall all built into place now, the next thing for me to do is continue the wall across to here to house my cistern and like obviously to fit my toilet to. I am having a hidden cistern. I've got it downstairs, so I need to get it open and see whereabouts on the wall I need to place it, as I've never actually used one of these, but I don't see it being much different than the other toilet. But it's better to probably be safe than sorry and get this stuff put together. Alrighty, toilet put together. Right, so a couple of things that I've noticed straight away. This pipe that connects to the cistern is too long, intentionally probably, so I can cut it down and move my toilet closer to the wall, which is nice. So it comes extra long, which is ideal. I've put the cistern together. I don't know if it's just it just came with it, but it included this flush here, which I meant to connect the flush to use that. I don't know why I would do that. I have a flush there that's going to go on the wall, and in order for that flush to work, it needs to be connected to that, so it can't be connected to both at the same time. So I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's just for testing. You know, if there's something wrong with the flush or something, I don't know, you can move it to the one that's on the cistern to test that instead. I don't really understand why that is, but either way, I've got the toilet marked up, well, dummied up is probably the better way to say. I've ran a level on this to make sure I've got it at the right height, because the height of the cistern won't change. I'm not going to make this pipe any shorter, just obviously the depth of it. So on the wall, I've marked out where the cistern's going to go. So now that I know where it is all going to situate, I can basically go ahead and start building my stud work. As it turns out, this is actually a spare flush, so I don't need that at all. And the hole on the other side allows me to put the inlet on the opposite side. So because I've got my water coming up this side, it actually makes more sense for it to be moved over. So I moved it all across. I've got marked out exactly where it's going to go. Now we're ready to build the stud work. Well, I think I'm running out of brain cells. It's getting very, very late, as you can see. There's no light outside, so I really should stop what I'm doing, as I've been going at this for quite a while now. This stud work probably looks quite bizarre, but there is method to the madness. So I've double plated the top here because I've got somewhere to like screw my cistern into, but on top of that, this plate is for screwing the cistern into, but I added another plate on top because I'm going to build a shelf along here. So I needed to raise it up ever so slightly. So it's all been doubled up. I don't know how I ended up like this, but I have. Haven't actually finished off doing the end yet either. Did get a nice little miter cut there using my circular saw to tie that into the wall. It's obviously not finished, but as I say, it's getting late. My brain is getting a little fragged, and this is, I'm going to start making more and more mistakes if I keep going and just forcing myself to do it. So I'm just going to stop for now. Have a little think about what I'm doing and the intention that I have here. But as far as I'm aware in my head, I've got 400 centers for like the stud, I've got 400 centers to screw my plasterboard into. I've got a back plate for my cistern to go to. I've got spacing to allow for my toilet to fit to. Everything about it is functionally sound. It just probably looks a bit bizarre just because I'm obviously screwing into an existing stud wall and working with the studs that are in that. And yeah, it's just a bit awkward because where the studs lie on this, I can't screw my cistern straight into this. So I needed the plate there to do that. And then after I added that plate in, I was like, oh, I kind of need to build around that because obviously the cistern needs to sit in there. So yeah, I mean, to be fair, the cistern doesn't actually have to hang. I can create a seat for it, which I might very well do anyway. We'll see. I don't know how. Yeah, I probably shouldn't, to be honest. I shouldn't rely on the screws in the cistern to hold the thing up, because I reckon years and years, if anyone's ever done like taking a toilet out after years of use, the screws do tend to rust on the back of the cistern. So I think it'd be a good idea to create a seat for it so it doesn't rust and fall down, and that could create a whole lot of problem in the box. So yeah, I'll probably create like a little bench for it, but the idea from this point upwards is to build storage into the wall, because that's why it probably looks a little odd that I've only built like half a wall. From this point upwards, it's just going to be shelving. And the shelving isn't necessary at this point. The box work and the stud wall is mainly important right now just to get the cistern and the toilet in place, as well as the shower and the bath and so on. I can always come back and I can stud the rest of the wall up, which, to be fair, I might end up doing. I've got the wood to do it, so it's not very difficult to do it. But I'm obviously going to box off this window, so I need to create a stud that goes up here, all the way up the wall, just to hide this window, and then the shelving will go from here to the end. I'm not keeping this like shape on the side of the wall. It just, to be perfectly honest, it makes more sense to bring the wall all the way out and then batten and board this wall, or just overboard it, to be honest, because it's already got studs in it. I can just overboard straight onto that, which is why I've gone flush here. Overboard all the way down to the door, and then yeah, just it's too late for me to be doing this. So on that note, I am going to wrap up today's vlog. Thank you very much for watching. It's one of those days during the week where like I'm doing a school run, I'm working, Lily's at nursery, we're just bouncing around here, there and everywhere, and obviously I needed to get the wood, which added a bit of delay on today. So yeah, it's been a bit of a hectic day for me, so I don't know how this vlog has turned out. I'm very happy with the shower wall. Everything about that went to plan. It was the beginning of the day and I knew in my head exactly how to do that. This has become a bit of a monstrosity, and I'll probably reassess it when I've woken up with a fresh mind. But thank you again to the guys over on Patreon. Big shout out to all the extra support that you guys show. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video, which will be, I don't know what day this is. It's Tuesday, tomorrow at 6 p.m. And then I'll see you again on Saturday at 6 p.m. and then Sunday at 6. You get the idea. Right, I'm going. I need to go to bed. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace, much love. Bye-bye. So first things first, we need a timber that goes from there across to here. As it is purely just as the stud wall, obviously, if you're curious, as I've not really been filming me like cutting anything or actually doing anything of the side befores and afters, I'm basically using my laser level. In many ways, it would have been easier just to cut 2 pieces of wood, given how much is left of it, but you know, I enjoy using a scissor.